he or she is the best football expert on the planet.
I'm just playing for pride now. And my prize gone.
We're very passionate people here.
Oh, well, hello.
We're ready to come for the W, yeah?
These girls will smoke you, man.
Yeah.
Hello once again to the Mirror Gamer walkthrough with me, Nathan Bliss, gaming editor at Mirror Gaming. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Aaron and Lewis. Hi guys, how you doing? You alright?
Yeah, I'm all good. Are you all right?
Good, yeah, very good, thank you, very good. We've got a packed show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the new Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gameplay reveal that was just over 10 minutes long. We'll be digging into that as much as you can in 10 minutes of gameplay. There's a lot to get stuck into, and we've got some thoughts, I know we have. We'll also be going to Lewis, our resident FIFA expert, for the latest leaks regarding Team of the Season, and also EA Sports FC as well, because there's some new information about that as well. And then we've also got a bit of news as well about the CMA Activision Microsoft deal. It looks like it's going through, everyone. So I don't know if you want to celebrate or if you want to commiserate, but we'll be talking about that and what that might mean as well a bit later in the show. But let's start with our first topic, which is that Nintendo revealed 10 minutes of never-before-seen gameplay footage for the new Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game, which will due to be released very soon. They showed off 10 minutes of gameplay for the new Zelda title, which showed off 4 new powers that Link will have, including Recall, Ascend, Fuse, and Ultra Hand. So we've got some thoughts on that. The map looks pretty familiar, even though the guy who presented it, I forgot his name, unfortunately. He said it was unfamiliar, but it looks very familiar to us, with Sky Islands, dragons. Aaron, we watched it together, and I think producer Will's going to put the reaction video that we did on YouTube, which you can go and check out on our YouTube channel, was me and Aaron reacting to it right at the time, live as it was coming out, with our genuine reactions. Now you've had 24 hours Mirror Gamer to kind of process the reaction. Are you more excited about Tears of the Kingdom, or are you less excited? How are we feeling?
Less excited, but I wasn't that excited to begin with. Double Aaron and double Nathan. There we go. We outnumber you, Lewis. Watch out. Yeah, it's this Tears of the Kingdom game. I've been struggling. This isn't a secret that I've been struggling to get hyped for it for a while now, and it's almost like Nintendo are playing a practical joke on me in terms of, we're not going to show Aaron what he wants, even though I'm pretty sure there's more to the game than they're actually showing. Because I simply refuse to believe that this game's been in development for 6 years now. And I mean, I always expected it to look extremely similar to the original game, because obviously the Nintendo Switch is getting on a bit in terms of hardware. But in terms of, actually new areas to explore, new sights to see, it does look extremely limited so far. I think there were various bits in the reaction video that we did yesterday, Nathan, where we were kind of hoping, maybe this is a dungeon, maybe this is something new. And I guess, if we want to talk logistics, technically we did get to see something new. We saw the Sky City area in action. We saw Link's luscious locks flowing in the wind. But aside from that, very similar mechanics, very similar areas, aside from the 4 new powers that were shown. So to sum up, I'm a bit indifferent on it to begin with, but I fully expect for Nintendo to make me look like a Muppet when this game comes out and blows everyone away. So do not worry about that.
I was trying to think of other games that have been this sort of... I know there's been other games that have been this secretive before release. I mean, it's been released on the 12th of May, so we've got just over a month until it comes out.
Crazy.
If you put, just to put this into perspective, Lewis, imagine if a month before the next FIFA title comes out, you know nothing in terms of features about what's going to be in the game, like to pre-order it, like. It seems like Nintendo are almost banking on, like, you can trust us. All the stuff that you want, it's going to be in there. You can trust us. Pre-order the game. It'll be fine. I mean, this is literally all we've seen, Lewis, apart from this and a small trailer as well. This is all we've seen on it. So what do you make of that, Lewis, in your opinion, from someone looking from the outside?
Yeah, I like the look of it personally, but I think it can excite someone like me or someone who's maybe not played it too much. But for big diehard fans like you, Nathan and Aaron, it might not be too appealing because, like you said, 6 years in development and it looks very similar to what you've already had. At the same time, I can understand why they might be so secretive about it because they don't want to give it all away. Try and keep that hype and the build up before it comes out. But at the same time, these fans, give them what they want, show them a bit more because, again, you're only a month before release now, or a month or so from release. Stop holding back because we're going to see it soon anyway. So get those fans like you a bit more excited because right now you're feeling a little let down, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't say let down. I'd just say the way I know they called it a gameplay reveal, but I just wanted to see a little bit more, a little more hints in there, and a little bit more about what we can expect for the game. We've got a few comments in the chat. Thank you so much, everyone who's watching us on Facebook and YouTube right now. Thank you so much. Please, if you've got any comments or you've got any thoughts on what we're saying, please drop a comment in the chat, and we'll read them out if they're interesting. And any questions as well, we'll try our best to answer them. Scott says it looks so good, lads. Even though there are some reused bits from the map, the new moves open the game up so much for player expression, which is what made the first so good. I'm not sure if I agree with there are a few reused bits from the map because we haven't seen the map yet and it looked very familiar. So I'm not sure 100% agree on that. We've also got Jasmine in the chat as well. Hi, Jasmine. They know people will pre-order either way. Zelda is such an established franchise. Yeah, that is exactly what my point was. I think for me, I'm probably going to buy it anyway. So
I've got it pre-ordered, Nathan.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things where I saw it for a particular price, and I was like, "Well, yeah, I can always cancel." And what I think is going to happen is that the reviews are going to drop about a week before this game comes out, and all the reviewers are going to be embargoed at the wazoo with they're not allowed to talk about like a couple of specific things, but they're going to like tease it out in the reviews. Like I can see it happening in my mind right now. And that's going to be enough to get me back on board the hype train. Because if not, it's going to be really bad. Like it seems like you're edging closer to me after the gameplay presentation, Nathan, that everyone else is loving it, but we're not, sort of thing. I feel like we're the outliers at the moment. I don't hear many other people. Everyone seems like, oh, you can make your own weapons. That's amazing. I'm like, yeah, but is that what a Zelda game should be? I don't know.
Are you a purist, a Zelda purist, Aaron? Is that what it is?
I think it's sad that old Ocarina of Time style of Zelda games seems to have gone away. And I don't think Nintendo did themselves a service by choosing Skyward Sword as the HD remaster to release on Switch, because that's a very old school, archaic approach to the Zelda format that didn't particularly, it's showing its age a little bit, even though they slapped the words HD on the end of it. And I just think there's room in the space for both versions of Zelda games to exist, kind of like how you get different Mario games coexisting with one another. And it's a shame that within the 6 years, aside from the odd remake, like what was it, Link's Awakening and the Skyward Sword, that Zelda fans have been starved of this proper old school Zelda game in lieu of an endless open world game where you have to make your own fun and stories relatively light. But I don't know, I'm at an impasse with it.
Jasmine says you guys are part of the problem. Maybe we are, Aaron. Maybe we are. I haven't pre-ordered it yet. I will just, I'll say that I haven't pre-ordered it yet because I'm still waiting a bit. I'll probably pre-order it anyway.
I'll sell you my pre-order, Nathan, if you change your mind. Don't worry.
But that doesn't mean we can't talk about it. Yeah, sorry, go on, Liz.
I meant to say Aaron. Actually, if there is no dungeons in it, I know you've been thinking about it for a long time. If there is no dungeons in it, well, you could be giving it straight to Nathan.
30-day money back guarantee, isn't it? Where you bought it from, Aaron?
Guys, there has to be dungeons in this game because even in the first game, Breath of the Wild, you had the divine beasts, which were kind of like dungeon light, but they weren't this sort of like multi-leveled, intricate type thing. And I'm
talking water temple.
Yeah,
like that sort of thing. Yeah,
water temple. Like you get the first 4 temples, then the story gets expanded, and then another 8 pop up, like that sort of thing. That has to be what they've spent the majority of the 6 years spending time on. But I will say, the powers look cool. I really like the recall ability, which lets you instantly fly up. It seems because not only will that tie into gameplay, but Nintendo are really good about doing this, where that influences travel as well as puzzle solving and gameplay. It doesn't solve one problem; it solves multiple. But was it the Ultra Hand ability, Nathan, where it lets you craft like vehicles and stuff?
That's
I'm
it,
interesting
yep.
to see a bit more about that, because I don't want Minecraft in my Zelda, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, but then Minecraft is one of the best-selling games ever, so what do I know?
That's it, yeah. So the 4 powers that they showed off were recall, which you talked about, which it's like if there's any Warzone 2 fans up there, it's basically like a big repel to repel you up into the Sky Islands, which we didn't also get that much of a look on either. There's also Ascend, which was allowing you to go through kind of ceilings on mountains, so that if you're in like a cave in a mountain, you can go to the top of the mountain with that power. There's also Fuse, which you can fuse like things together to make weapons, and Ultra Hand, like you said, to kind of build rafts and things. They showed off a raft and like a hovercrafty type thing and all that jazz. So that is coming to the game, confirmed. You talked about how long they've been spending on this game. I just thought there'd be a new map. I don't know. I don't know. Has there ever been a Zelda? I was struggling to think of this last night. You might be able to help me out. Has there ever been a Zelda game released back to back, a completely new release that has the same map?
So the closest thing I can think of is Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, which is, it's not the same map, but it uses similar art assets, right?
Yes.
So those games were released within a year of each other. And I think when everybody first played Breath of the Wild, it was kind of assumed that, okay, well, they're clearly going to build off of this foundation, and it's going to be turned around relatively quickly. I mean, they're definitely using some similar elements of the map, because it had that intro stable, right, where you first get your horse in Breath of the Wild, and
the exact same mountains with the
yeah,
it's got the gap in the middle as well. Yeah, it's exactly the same.
So like
The dragon as well.
The dragon's similar. I mean, what frightens me a little bit is if they're bolting on a new section of the map onto the existing map, because then that map is going to get outrageously big. And you could argue that they're already doing that anyway by adding in the Sky City layer on top.
Yes.
And I thought it was quite interesting that the area of the Sky City that Inuma was showing us through, it felt very much like the Great Plateau to me, in that you're not seeing everything. And they were very specific about that. Like it was quite barren. There was like loads of yellow grass, and it provided good views. But I wouldn't be surprised if later on in the story, more of these sections start appearing above the map, depending on how you influence areas below. Maybe that might generate it in which you're able to like recall. There's lots going on. Like I said, I keep coming to the same conclusion. But to answer your question, Nathan, that's the Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask thing is the closest comparison I can make, which makes it even stranger that everything we've seen so far, other than these 4 powers and the ability to craft vehicles, is extremely similar to Breath of the Wild. Extremely.
Yes.
Well,
and
do you think it might be similar at all, just because obviously Breath of the Wild was so well received, did so well, that they might, have that idea in their head of why change what's broken in a way?
I think the problem they got, I think that's part of it, Lewis. But another part is that they clearly spent a lot of time building this interconnected physics system where players can be creative and experiment, and that's the direction they've decided to go in, rather than develop these handcrafted areas or like set pieces. These really memorable moments, they just want you to create your own memorable moments, which is a very different style of Zelda game than anything that came before. So I'm not saying they shouldn't use the foundation of what they they created before, because clearly they spent a lot of time in it, but 6 years, guys. It's 6 years. Like, this is what I mean. Like, I can tell you now, in a month and a half's time, we're going to look back on this stream and like, Aaron, you didn't have a clue. Or I'm going to be on this show saying, guys, I love it. I love Tears of the Kingdom. But got to call it as you can see it so far.
Yeah, Scott in the chat is saying just that. He talks about Majora's Mask is one of the best ones in the series. Yeah, that's also true. He also says, we've seen 10 minutes of a game that may end up being 100+ hours. I feel like the map is going to be far more different than we think. Yes, that's a good point, but that's also just what you think it's going to be. What we've seen so far doesn't really match up with that. And I think, I'm going to be open-minded about it, and obviously there's going to be more that comes out about the map and everything like that. And there's obviously the new Sky Islands and how that's all interconnected and everything. But if the map on the ground level is too similar, and you've got the new map at the top with the islands, I just worry, is that going to be enough for me to actually get myself? Because I've already explored that area.
Yeah.
I've already spent,
Mm.
I don't, maybe not 100 hours, like Scott insinuated that he had with Breath of the Wild, but I've already explored that map. And half the thing about having an open world is discovering these areas and going through new bits. And, you know, I've recently put I've put like 50 hours into Elden Ring and I haven't explored every part of that yet. I've still got some. Most of the magic of an open world game is when you go into a new area and there's new music, there's a new field, there's new enemies, there's new everything. It feels like different. You can really feel going between the different areas, the different vibe. And you had that in the first one when you got nearer the castle. It got darker and there was different enemies and the harder enemies. And I just feel if it's too similar, like, what's the incentive for me to explore that area again when I've already explored it?
Following up on what Scott said though, if it was, you know, a map that has 100+ hours that you could explore in for, surely, you know, they would show some of that in the 10-minute bit of gameplay footage, because if you have that much new stuff, you tease that, I feel, a bit more than they did. And like I said, people like you who've played this game loads before and they've done all that exploring, it's just made it a bit underwhelming, I feel.
It's just if there's enough in the Sky Islands for me to feel like I can explore a new map. That's my worry with this, because I mean, you're talking about, how much is this game going to be? 70 quid?
$70 in the US. I believe it's
£60 in the UK.
I believe it's $59.99. Yeah, I got it for £10 less than that though. Hello.
Why would I spend £60 on a game that has a similar map to one I've already paid £60 for? That's my concern.
Nathan, it was
more people. Sorry.
Can I just say, it was funny, like 10 minutes ago. Well, not even 10 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago, when you were describing basically sequels. You were like, when you buy a new game, you expect like new areas, new music, stuff like that. And I'm like, yes, you do. Remember, like back in the GTA games, to use another open world example, you went from Liberty City to Vice City to San Andreas.
Yes,
3 very distinct, different cities. Granted, they're not graphically as intense as even something like Breath of the Wild or going from Tears of the Kingdom. But I feel like I was honestly shocked after yesterday, like looking online about how excited people were to still play this game. Because if I was being really picky, Ascend, that power, which lets you go up through mountains, a criticism of it could be, well, that takes off the fun of climbing, which was such a big part of Breath of the Wild. But granted, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. But then another thing is very similar to one of the powers in Breath of the Wild, which was Rivali's Gale, where it's like a wind thrust that would throw you up, and then you'd use that to climb on. So, like 2 out of the 4 powers shown so far, we've either seen before or is crafting, which doesn't interest me. But
6 years, Aaron.
6 years.
6 years.
Where were we 6 years ago? Like,
yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm keeping an open mind, but nothing that I've seen so far is making me want to buy this game. That's just me being quite particular. Like, I'm looking. If I'm going to spend £60 on a game, I want a new experience, and I'm just a bit on the fence at the moment about whether.
And do you know what, Nathan?
I get enough new experience. What, Lewis?
We then go and spend £60 on FIFA every single year, even though it's pretty much the identical same game.
I know.
They've learned from the EA rule book.
Yeah, but at least EA come out and then they give these like marketing slogans like driven passes, power shots, like
the goalkeeper's fingers now move when they make a save.
Exactly, all these new
features. Wow, did they really say that?
Yes, they do.
There was a 2-minute video on it.
All right, Connor O'Neill in the chat makes a good point. He says, sorry, Nathan. He goes, they're going the Game Freak way of reusing assets. But the difference is that Game Freak turn around a game like every year and a half.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So, yeah.
That's what I'd say.
Another feature I wanted to talk about for this year, FIFA 23, a new feature that EA actually talked about quite a lot, was the fact that players used skill moves with their correct foot. So left-footed players use the skill move with their left foot, and right-footed players use the skill move with their right foot. Every FIFA before this, the players in the game use their right foot as a default for all skill moves, whether they're left-footed or not. So yeah, that was a new feature. But we're not talking about EA or FIFA. We're talking about Nintendo, all right, Liz? So let's just Let's just stick.
When you're
to that
likening
one.
Nintendo to EA, wow, what's happened to your game?
Oh,
Like, I
what's
don't-
We've had loads of comments. I'm going to read out a few because some of them are pretty good. Miffy's in the chat. Hi mate, how's it going? Jasmine said this was worth watching. We'll see. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. You've also read Connor's comment on there. Adam says, the fast travel problem reborn. Yeah, exactly. Jason is also in the chat. Hello, Aaron, man. I missed you. I remember your Resident Evil remake stream. Loved it. Yeah, that got high acclaim, Aaron, must say.
that was years ago, that stream as well. So I'm glad that, Jason, you can stick around. Yeah, it's all good.
Feel like it, yeah. And then Connor says, I hope it's a higher quality than the yearly Pokemon games, though. Well, yeah.
I mean, that's not a high bar to pass. That's all I'll say.
It's not. But yeah, I'm trying not to repeat myself with this, but I just wish. It worries me for the exact reason that Lewis said that. If they had a new map to show off, wouldn't they have done it already? That's where my worry boils down to be honest.
I don't know. Like, I think Nintendo are like cocky enough to, for the lack of a better phrase, to sort of just. They're still promoting like Breath of the Wild and like trailers and adverts and stuff like right up until this game's release, which is like odd. So I don't know what the thinking is, and there's clearly more to this game than what's going on. But Nathan, if you don't want to repeat ourselves by way of the map, like I think the one small interesting tidbit I could pull out was literally because of Link's hair and attire.
Yes,
like this could take place hundreds of years before Breath of the Wild. It could take place hundreds of years after. I know there was a spin-off game called Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is kind of like a prologue to Breath of the Wild, where you see Link when he was a warrior and he's fighting alongside the champions. But I'm wondering if Tears of the Kingdom potentially takes place hundreds of years before that, just because he looks very prehistoric in his thing. He's obviously got his robotic arm feature. But then again, like Breath of the Wild was so light on story, I don't anticipate that Tears of the Kingdom will be like, giving us many more cutscenes or dialogue to explain away these things. But yeah.
But it was highly teased in the original teaser trailer that Zelda would play a bigger part in this game, and I thought we might have seen a little bit more about that. But do you think after this we can rule out Zelda being a playable character in this game, or do you think that's still up in the air as well?
Zelda being a playable character is something that gets brought up with every new like Legend of Zelda game, and people are always like disappointed when it doesn't happen. She is playable in the spin-offs. The Hyrule Warriors games, as I said, Age of the Calamity is the closest thing to a canon Zelda you'll play. I personally don't see it happening, but it'd be cool if they did. I mean, if they did do that, then that could potentially be an entirely new moveset that perhaps they have spent all these years developing. But right now, all I can see is that Zelda's probably been giving Link hair tips because, those golden locks must be tough to maintain, especially when you're out fighting contrasts or whatever they're called.
Constructs, wasn't it?
Constructs, yeah, you're right.
And he didn't have a top on either, or it was very loose fitting.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of skin there, which was interesting. I thought Nintendo is a family company, but Jasmine's having a little bit of a panic in the chat. Should we answer her question as best we can?
Go for it.
She says, "Is Link immortal?" She goes on to say, "Hundreds of years before or after, would he not be dead?" ? And then Scott is saying there are so many Links, and she's saying, "What on earth? There's 15 Zeldas. What on earth is this?" Can we put this debate to rest, Aaron, about the multiple Zeldas and Links, the multiverse theory?
Well, I don't know if I've got like multiple hours to go into the Zelda timelines right now. I've not got my Hyrule Historia handy with me.
Have you not?
But basically, as it breaks out, I believe there are 3 Zelda timelines at the moment, and they sort of like splinter off. Like Toon Link is not the same Link as the one you see in Ocarina of Time. That's the Wind Waker Link, and Zelda's always plays fast and loose with the story. But to answer Jasmine's question more directly of how is he surviving hundreds of years, at the beginning of Breath of the Wild, he's woken up. Like, that is what happens. And then throughout the majority of that game, she wouldn't know this because she doesn't play single-player games. She's not got great taste in games, everyone. I hate to surprise it to you. Oh, my God. That was a bit more spicy than I intended it to be.
What?
She's going to come after me for that.
Do we have to stop the stream? No, we can carry on. We can carry on. So I was just talking to producer Willie sitting right next to
you. He's right next to you. But yeah, to answer your question, like, that's how it works out. Like, for some reason, as a champion, Link in this timeline, I guess he's immortal, or he can at least be like frozen in carbonite or something.
Yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Jasmine. Hopefully, yeah.
I doubt it did, but yeah.
She says, "Whoa!" Oh, Jasmine's commented, "Whoa, no need shots, no need, no need." Yeah, that did come out quite spicy, Aaron. I'm
Did.
sure you
Well, she
live to
doesn't play
regret
single
that
player
comment.
games, does she? She's not played The Last of Us.
No, that might change though. That might change.
Hopefully.
Scott says he was just having 100-year snooze. Yeah, as you do. And it is a game, so they can make up anything they want, I suppose, about the different lore and everything on that. But yeah, and then Miffy, the multiverse. I expect the MCU is everywhere. Yeah, that's MCU crossover soon, potentially
Across the Zelda-verse, that's what they could call it.
So hopefully that's answered your question, Jasmine. It is very confusing. I find it hard to keep up as well, and I just try and enjoy the games without thinking too much about it because it's a little bit too big for my brain to comprehend. But yeah, I just want to kind of leave this discussion with the fact that, like, I want to ask you. Well, I want to ask you, Aaron. Why do you think they did this? The 10 minutes of gameplay they showed off, these four abilities. Was this a? So let's put ourselves in that meeting at Nintendo, right? We're all sitting around a table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all going, okay, we're gonna show them something. They're screaming out for something. We just need to show them something. 10 minutes of something. Oh no, let's show them 4 powers. Let's not show them anything about the story. That'll get them excited. Are they going for like giving you as little as possible so that you're even more eager to learn, to hear more, or are they going, this is all we've got left to show, we just need to show them something? I can't work it out. Can you put yourself in those shoes?
I don't think it's a big mystery box like people are trying to make out it is. I think it
like
really
me,
is
like me trying to make out like.
I mean, you might be right, but I literally think, to quote a Star Trek Picard meme, it's the sheer hubris of Nintendo. They know they've just released what many people consider to be a masterpiece and one of the greatest games of all time, and they're willing to bank the reputation of that all those people that enjoyed the first game will enjoy this game just as much. Whereas, frankly, I think, if you come for the king, you better not miss, is what they say. So, and Nintendo's the king at the moment in terms of like this style of game, many people would argue. So I literally think that they're playing their cards close to their chest. We've barely seen any characters other than Link at the moment. You saw me in the reaction stream yesterday, Nathan. I saw a glimpse of a boss fight when they weren't even showing a boss fight. They were showing the new Nintendo Switch OLED, and I almost lost my head. I was like, oh my god, a character to fight, amazing. So I literally think that they're banking on the reputation of Breath of the Wild, and I think they better have something more to show us. Otherwise, people aren't going to be happy. Well, I mean, I say that people will be happy with this crafting stuff, but people like me won't be happy. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, I think like you said just then, like what they've shown so far, if that is it, it's not going to go down well. But like you said, I think they're banking on the fact that the first one did so well. They're hoping they'll all come back for this one, and it will all go, smoothly.
70 quid, Lewis. 70 quid for
6 years.
Reused content. We know reused content is in this game. 6 years and $70. Like I said, I'm going to look a fool, so that's all right.
Let's keep an open mind. But yeah, that 10-minute gameplay didn't really do anything for us. I think it's safe to say.
As long as Nintendo, as long as Nintendo keep the Mario Kart courses coming, all's well with me, Nintendo. You can do whatever you want with Zelda, so it's all right.
Yeah. We've got a few other comments in the chat. Adam says esports is better than single player. Shocked face. We've got some hot takes in this chat today as well. Jason also says, Aaron, when can we expect another Resident Evil stream? Aaron, I think that's a question for you. If you want to. I
don't know. I think it's a question for you, Nathan. Is it? Whenever Nathan lets me, Jason. But I tell you what, the Resident Evil Mercenaries mode is coming in a free update in a couple of weeks' time. So there might be an opportunity there. Stick around, but we'll let you know.
If the audience want it, let's give it to them. That's what I say. Scott says, got to show something while keeping the mystery alive for a game that's so based on discovery. Yeah, that's correct, Scott. Although, if there's much to discover, is the issue. So we'll have to find that out as well. Connor says as well, they re-released Mario Kart 8 and it's still in top 10 UK weekly sales. Brand loyalty strong. yeah, people will buy it anyway, but I don't think that's the point. And Jasmine calls us the problem for kind of already looking to pre-order it or something. Maybe we are. Maybe we need to have a look at ourselves and reevaluate things. Jason says, Nathan, you should do a stream as well. I have done multiple ones, Jason. If you go onto our YouTube channel and go onto our live tab, we stream Warzone 2. Me and Jasmine stream Warzone 2, trying to get the one-shot sniper. Me and Matt in the chat as Miffy have also streamed Warzone 2, although you can only see the menus for the first half an hour, so I'd skip the first half an hour and go straight into the gameplay. We've done a few more as well, so yeah, have a chat, look in our live tab, and you'll be able to see loads of the live stuff I've been in. But we've also done a FIFA live stream as well, Lewis. So if you're into FIFA, yeah, go and check that out as well. But there's loads more to come, Jason. Don't worry, there'll be loads of people doing streams. There's loads coming up, some exciting stuff coming up on Mirror Gaming. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in so far on YouTube and Facebook. We really appreciate it, and keep them questions coming in. But we're going to move on to our next topic, because there's loads of FIFA stuff going on this week. So Lewis, thank you so much for joining us this week to talk about this. You were at the E-Premier League last weekend, which is the basically the E version of the Premier League, the esports version of the Premier League, where 40 of the best professional esports players, the best FIFA esports players, kind of played against each other, 2v2 competition to try and get that E-Premier League title. There's also been some leaks around Team of the Season, which is one of the biggest promos that's coming out, and also EA Sports FC, which will be the new game coming out later this year after they split with FIFA, coming out as well. But first, should we start with the E-Premier League? How was that? What did you get up to?
Yeah, it was a great event. This is my first year attending the finals. We had like an all access behind the scenes sort of pass. So yeah, it was really good. We sat down with content creator, FIFA content creator Pieface, had a chat with him, played him on FIFA, got some good insight into life of a stream. That was really good beforehand. And throughout the event, we could watch the finals from sort of pitch side, I guess. Yeah, spoke to players who came off after their games, got some good reaction. In the end, it was Leeds United who won. Oli Lito, who got to the semi-finals against the eventual winners Norwich last year, has won it this year of Leeds and Tom Stokes. So congratulations to them. They beat Spurs in the final, who's a teammate of Gorilla and Tom Lees. The biggest shock of that tournament was Manchester City. Shells, who won it in 2021, I think it was. Him and Ryan Pessoa went out in the group stages, which was a big shock to everyone. Yeah, they were in what was dubbed the group of death. It was them, Liverpool, who were one of the favourites, Fulham, who had a strong chance of it as well. It was Wolves who actually went through, so that was a bit of a shock. They were some dark horses. And then it was a Liverpool versus Leeds matchup in the quarterfinals, where I think it was a 93rd minute goal from Leeds to win it over the two legs. But all in all, it was a fantastic event. Like I said, saw some, got to talk to some of the players. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Video coming soon as well on the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel, so make sure you stick around on our channel to see. We've got an exclusive interview with Pieface talking about his history on FIFA and all that kind of stuff, and also some behind the scenes stuff as well, which is exclusive for us. So keep an eye on the YouTube channel for that. And thanks for covering us, Lewis. Really appreciate it.
That's great.
Let's go over to some of the leaks then, because there's been a leak about Team of the Season, which is obviously one of the biggest promotions of the year, where they look at some of the best players from the season so far. The seasons don't actually end until the end of May. But what date are they saying this year for Team of the Season? What's the leak?
April 18th. So it hasn't been clarified yet if that's when the voting opens or when the team's released. But based on last year, the first release was, I think, the 26th or 27th. So it was 10 days later than what is leaked to be this year. And for the first time, I think it is ever in Team of the Season history, it's not going to open with the community Team of the Season. Apparently, it will be the Premier League Team of the Season. That is the first one to be released. So for those who aren't aware, the community Team of the Season is made up of players, and fans can vote for this team. Players who have had fantastic seasons in real life, but have never been awarded a Team of the Week item in FIFA 23, which is pretty much an item you get if, say, you had one really good week, you'll be awarded with the Team of the Week item. Usually they start off with that, I think, to ease people into the promo, builds up excitement. But this year they're going straight in with the Premier League, which is usually renowned for having some of the biggest and the best players. So it's a new strategy from EA there. But the leaks also confirmed, I think it was 3 different Team of the team of the season squads and their release dates. So as well as the Premier League on the 18th, which is what we heard so far. Again, not sure if that's voting of the team release in game. The Bundesliga team of the season comes on the 25th of April, which is a Tuesday. The community team of the season then comes on the Friday, the 28th of April, and then it's the La Liga team of the season on Tuesday, May 2nd. So it seems it's following the same sort of idea as last year, where it's every 3 days a team comes out, and it looks like it'll be Tuesday and Friday, which it rotates.
That was really interesting, and we'll be sure to cover in that on editorial as well on Mirror Gaming. So just keep an eye on our editorial for our predictions for the team of the season, because we'll be definitely doing that over the next few weeks. And moving on as well to EA Sports FC, obviously with the new EA Sports FC title coming out this year, after their split from FIFA. FIFA wanted too much money to carry on the license, so EA Sports FC, EA Sports said, no thank you, we'll do our own game without FIFA. So that's what they're doing this year. And there's been some potential leaks about what they could be on the game in terms of features, not least that pro clubs will be getting crossplay, which is a major disappointment with the community for this year, which is the most social game mode was pretty much the only game mode that didn't get crossplay. The one mode that people wanted crossplay on, they didn't get, and then they blamed it on technical challenges. But EA forgot that they also publish Apex Legends, which has hundreds of players on a map cross-play, and they couldn't do 11 versus 11.
Yeah, but do their fingers move realistically when grabbing things, Nathan? Like in Apex?
I mean, I don't play Apex Legends, so I don't know, but I would assume so. The heroes, probably Jasmine knows more than me about Apex Legends, but yeah, that was always a bit strange to me, Lewis. Do you think that had something to do with FIFA? Do you think because of the split that it gives them more room for maneuver? I don't know. What do you think?
So this is a personal opinion. I think the fact that they've combined Volta and Pro Clubs, and I think Volta's a mode that they tried and it hasn't worked, shows how they don't really care for it in a way, which is funny because Pro Clubs, I speak to anyone I know, if they can play Pro Clubs with their friends, they'll play it. I think apart from Ultimate Team Career Mode, it's the most popular game mode in the game. And I think it's an offline, it's an online mode, but it's not like Ultimate Team where money can go into it. So I feel like EA in a way sort of felt threatened that if they added crossplay to that game mode, it would take people away from Ultimate Team, which is their money making. And in that's why they haven't added crossplay yet. That's just a theory, but I've seen a lot of people say the same thing. And like you said, it's the most social game mode. If you can have a mode where 11 can play 11, it's going to take a lot of people away from Ultimate Team, because I think Pro Clubs is like a fan favorite mode, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some comments in the chat, not really relevant to FIFA, but I feel like I have to read them out because it is pretty funny what I'm reading in the chat here. Miffy says, "I'll be having words." I presume that's to me for calling out his menu bias that he's been showing in the past. Adam also says, "Love how the walkthrough has evolved into a mirror gaming roast stream." Yeah, it has, hasn't it? Organically turned into a roast. Miffy says, although I was in the menu throwing a wobbly for a good 30 minutes. Yeah, you were, to be fair. Gigi's in the chat as well. Hi, Gigi. She says, that was equally entertaining, if not more so. Not for me, because I was playing the game on my own, pretty much, trying to find all these new levels and stuff. This was the first day of Warzone coming out. If you're interested, go and check out that stream. It's still live on our channel, so go and have a look at that. Jasmine says, yes, their fingers move realistically in Apex Legends. Come on, EA, step it up. Yeah, they have the technology to do it, so they should just implement it as well.
They've only got all the money in the world, so I don't know why they can't make it happen. But
yeah, how much money did they make this year? It was in the billions. Yeah, it's got to be in the billions. So technically they can do it.
I'm just throwing this out there, but do we know who makes more money, like Fortnite or EA from Ultimate Team? Ooh. I guess Fortnite would be the correct answer.
Well,
I can look into
I did see something that was when EA released a lightning round in Ultimate Team, the pack cost something like 1,000. I think it was like 2,500 points, and it was like in an hour they would have made a few 10 millions on that alone.
Oh my
because so many were buying it and it cost so much in the first place.
And you have to buy the game as well.
On top of buying the game, yeah. So in-game purchases on top of how much the game even costs is ridiculous. They must be, obviously they are loaded.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. Jasmine says it has to be Fortnite. Surely you could think that. But if anyone can have a look into it and see if they can dig into Epic Games accounts, because I'm sure it's on there. EA's financial results are up publicly in the billions. I've seen those. So if you want to dig that out and have a look, you're more than welcome to in the chat and pop.
Epic's will be in the billions as well. It's just like the difference in billion, I bet, because Fortnite has a broader appeal, but there's no way they're charging more than £100 for an item in Fortnite. At least I don't think.
How much a bundle's like 15 quid, isn't it? So. Yeah.
It's quite the jump.
We'll have to see if you're in the chat and you're interested. If you can do it for us, because I would do it, but I've got to host the show. So if you could,
bit busy at the moment. Sorry, guys. Yeah,
I've got stuff on my plate at the moment, guys. But if you've got it to hand, if you've already got it downloaded as a PDF, then feel free to pop it in the chat and we'll discuss it. One of the leaks I've seen as well, Lewis, which I'm really interested in, is dynamic packs, which looks interesting and potentially good for the community. So according to leaks, obviously not confirmed yet, dynamic packs change the probability of packing high-rated players. The more packs you open, the more chance you have of packing a high-rated card or special card. For example, if you have a 5% chance of packing a 90+ card and you haven't after 15 packs, the percentage will increase and you can see the percentage change. Right, this sounds good on the face of it. If you actually think about it, that sounds like a snowball to me. Where the more packs you open, the more chance you have of getting the player. Just isn't that not encouraging you to buy more and more and more packs to get that one player?
I'd assume so, but at the same time, I think that covers EA's backs when it comes to the random, probability to do with loot boxes. Because if they're telling you, if you open this pack, you have a 55% chance of getting someone over 90 plus, and that is an accurate percentage, then I don't think people can go and complain saying I opened this many packs and I only got one, because you can go, well, that's what it said. You get one, and you got one. So I think it covers their backs, but at the same time, I think that will destroy the transfer market. And, if everyone's going to be getting these high-rated players and it's guaranteed, prices are going to drop. And I think one of the leaks as well was to do with the transfer market. It's going to have a massive overload this year. It's going to receive some of the biggest changes ever, according to leakers. And I saw something saying that people who, rely on trading to make their coins in FIFA on the market won't be happy with it. So again, it's all very vague. It's all just rumors at the moment, but it sounds like there's going to be a lot of changes this year to do with packs and the transfer market and Ultimate Team, which will be really interesting to see.
Yeah, that will be really interesting. Aaron, just jump to you for a second. What's your experiences with loot boxes in general? Have you ever played a game where you have to open loot boxes, like a pay to win type game? Have you had that experience before?
So I've almost had the reverse of loot boxes, where like I tend to avoid them generally, and I couldn't even tell you a time where I've invested in them. Obviously, they're a big business earner for not just EA but all kinds of companies as well. But it's been interesting because I felt like the first instance of it happening was Rocket League when it first came out. Launched on PlayStation Plus. Me and friends had a great time with it, and I was happy just buying like all the new skins for like new cars and vehicles and stuff like that. And then obviously it went free to play, and then they sort of basically monetized it as best they could. That's owned by Epic now, isn't it? Actually, Rocket League.
Yes.
It's same as Fortnite. So obviously they did the Fortnite method with that. And then again, it happened with Fall Guys, where I was having a really good time with it, PlayStation Plus, earning crowns. And then as soon as that game went free to play, in an effort to sort of like make it more accessible for people, as soon as interest went off, then they sort of like de-incentivized people's need to win, because it was based less on, your ability or luck in that game, but more so like, are you willing to pony up for the battle pass? I think the battle pass system is something I have got on board with before, which I tend to prefer in my games. And I'm actually, obviously, Diablo 4, the beta recently ended for that, and that is like the first in this series to opt for the live service model, as opposed to a closed ecosystem where you can invite your friends into it. And they're going to be doing the battle pass. And so having played the beta now, I'm kind of looking at the battle pass for that game, and I'm thinking, ooh, do I want to give Activision Blizzard my money to keep myself interested? So I don't have like a world of, and obviously I'm Paladin's #1 biggest fan as well. Great hero shooter if you haven't played it. And that has like loot boxes and stuff like that. But no, I try to avoid them for the most part. And it's these whale players, right, that EA are so good at targeting, the people that are so dedicated to football that they sort of just make loads of money off, is the impression I get from the outside anyway.
I think the thing with FIFA, which is kind of it's just a cauldron where all these different things get mixed in. It just makes it such a moneymaker. You've got the fact that the loot boxes are expensive; they're completely random, but the percentage of packing a high player is very, very low. Even in promo packs, which are also expensive to buy in terms of FIFA points. But then there's also the added element that the game is pay to win, in that if you have better players on your team, you have a better chance of winning against other players, which makes you then want to invest more to get the better players. But you don't get the better players, so then you play again against other better players. They beat you because they've got better players, and you get there's kind of a cycle there of the pay to win, and having the loot boxes there as well. It's not a good combination, really.
Maybe it's a separate conversation, and I don't want to derail us too much, but I think a lot of part of it is that just FIFA has no competitor right now. Like Konami have, fumbled the ball, you could say, with the eFootball stuff.
They've missed an open goal, you could say.
They've missed an open goal. Their goalkeeper's fingers, they don't do it. So it's kind of like, in a way, that's why I'm excited, even just as an outside observer, someone who doesn't really play football game much, for what FIFA itself has up its sleeve. Don't have a lot of hope for what that is, because they haven't got the experience and skill that EA has. But I appreciate, from the wrestling world, we've got the WWE 2K game that has just come out, and now we've got AEW, which is a game planned for later this year, being developed by the guys who formerly used to develop the WWE 2K games. So providing you can get the right talent, I think it's worth, having another challenge there for the king.
Yeah, and
I'm not sure if you saw it, Nathan. I'm not sure if you saw it, but UFL released their first bit of gameplay, I think it was, for their game, which will be potentially a FIFA competitor or an EA Sports FC competitor. And I can't lie, it looked all right. It looked quite good. It wasn't the actual movement and the players and the motion. It looked realistic. It did remind me a bit of like an older FIFA, so I don't think the graphics are up to par just yet. But I feel like if anything's a bit similar, and then they get the rest of the game features-wise right, it could be a competitor.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out Adam's chat because I think this is a really good point to bring up. Do you think the demand for loot boxes is a result of customers actually wanting them, or is the demand increasing by companies manipulating the customer? I think that's a great point, because there wouldn't be loot boxes in games if people just stopped buying stuff.
Yeah.
People keep buying stuff.
It's the random chance, though, of loot boxes, right? I'm not against buying digital cosmetics in games. And I think Overwatch, or at least it did at one point, did it really well, where it was purely cosmetic, the difference is. Whereas, my understanding of FIFA Ultimate Team is that the better the player, extremely low drop rate, it is, like you were saying, Nathan, pay to win, right? So it's the randomization factor. So if EA truly did want to have the moral high ground on this, they could just completely take out the randomization. But then, to Lewis's point earlier, what's the point in having different tiers of players if you can just make the same ones available to everyone? So they're almost caught within a rock and a hard place a tad.
And the problem as well is that if there's a monetary value on one item, if there's a monetary value on one card, that opens them up to the loot box legislation. That is complete, because at the moment, no individual item on Ultimate Team has a monetary value, which means that item cannot be traded for real money, right?
Yeah.
So that basically makes that digital item worthless in a way, which is EA's argument to say that we don't promote gambling because they're not winning anything of substance. So if they then introduce something where they get rid of the randomization and they assign a certain value to cards, that could potentially open up the legal ramifications of that.
And what I find really, really cheeky from an EA point of view is their most expensive packs you'll find at the store now that are costing 500,000 coins or 3,000 FIFA points. Everything you get is untradeable. So you can't even,
Yes.
put it on the transfer market and list it. So you're putting in all this money, and you can't even get money in FIFA back coins from it. If you get anything good. But I'm not sure if you've had this problem, Nathan. I know I have. The want for loot boxes is there because EA bring out a new promo every single week, and every single
Yes.
week the promos get better and better and better until there is a curve in the game. So if I don't play FIFA for say a month, 2 months, and I go back on it with the team I had, that team is now worthless in game, and they're so far behind the curve that I'm in the same division I was a month ago, but I'm losing a lot more, and I'm finding it a lot more difficult because everyone else has got these better players now. And I think then that makes me want to think, oh, I need to improve my team. I haven't got any coins. How do I do that? I'll put on points with the hope of getting a better player. And it's cheeky how, like I said, with the untradables, how you can't even, get the players, put them on the transfer market, get some coins back, buy who you want. But yeah, I think the fact they're bringing out a promo every single week, getting slightly better each time, it makes, cards you've got from the month before absolutely worthless at a certain point in the game.
Yeah, and it's just a shame. Like Adam made the point as well in the chat. It's a shame that this is in games, and the fact that there are these kind of pay to win mechanics in a lot of games. Jasmine made the point, Overwatch and most of the loot box games have only cosmetics in. It's the same thing with Warzone 2. In a way, Warzone 2 does have cosmetics you can buy, but also there is like blueprints, which are normally the meta weapons, which allow you to build that meta weapon before you actually unlock it in the game, whatever. So it is a little bit different with Warzone 2, but it's just if people didn't buy these things, if just everyone turned around and said, okay, no one's going to buy FIFA points, they would not be in the game anymore. No. But it's just a shame that we're at this stage where there are people putting on these points, and the other point as well is that in 6 months' time, that will be completely worthless.
And that's what I mean. I think you'll find some people who, as soon as they buy the FIFA game, the first day they have it, not only are they buying the game, they're loading on £80 worth of FIFA points because they want to straight
more
from
than
the go.
The game is worth.
Yeah, from the go, they want to get a step ahead of everyone else. So they're buying these packs to get cards, and because it's right at the start of the game, there's nothing good promo-wise. You're getting base gold players. They're putting all these money to maybe get a month of good, being the best team in the game possible. Within a month and a half, 2 months, that whole team then is worthless.
Yeah, absolutely. And I spoke to, I know you were at the EPL as well, but I've spoke to a number of professional FIFA players at the highest level who've said that as a minimum, they need to spend $5,000 to be competitive.
Yeah. I mean, you'll look at
what a month.
Just as soon as the game comes out, they need to put $5,000 on to buy the FIFA points to get the players, and then what that does, they get them enough coins to be able to survive them for the rest of the year, and then put 1,000 in here or there because otherwise they won't be competitive.
You watch any pro FIFA streamer or any big streamer in that case, when the game is released, they will have, hundreds, even thousands of pounds worth of points loaded onto their account to try and get the best players possible. And there's some cases, I think there were some streamers, this probably isn't correct, but the actual amount, put on over 10 grand, and they didn't get anyone in value over like 90 rated in total. It just shows you how small your chances are.
Yeah, I think I did that story, the one that you're referencing. So it was a FIFA 22 streamer Bateson. It was from January last year. He opened £3,300 worth of packs in an attempt to pack a Team of the Year item, but didn't pack a single one.
Yeah, it just shows
which just
how
kind of proves our point. Yeah,
take him to court. Take him to court.
But
do you remember? Maybe this is too naive of me, but do you remember when you used to play the new FIFA game and have your mates round and just pass the pad or like play people like one-on-one or whatever? That was a good time, wasn't it? That was a good time.
LAN FIFA. There's nothing better than LAN FIFA.
A little tournament. Was always how it was.
Get the multi-tap in the back of your PlayStation 2. 2 players either side. Yeah,
absolutely. The good old days. But Aaron, you mentioned earlier about Activision Blizzard, about you giving them your money. Well, it looks like Microsoft will be about to give Activision Blizzard a bit of money as well, because
Just
the
a bit,
latest
just a bit.
I don't know, my voice went all grizzly then. Apologies for that. But it looks like the CMA are going to approve the Microsoft Activision deal as well. So weeks after voicing concerns, I'm going to read your words verbatim, Aaron, from the piece that you did for the Mirror. So this is on the Mirror online. You can read that at mirror.co.uk/gaming. This is Aaron's piece on the CMA deal.
Don't judge too harshly, everybody. Don't judge too harshly.
Weeks after voicing concerns over lessening competition in the console space, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority have reversed its position and look dead set on approving Microsoft Activision acquisition. Microsoft's ongoing battle to have the Competition and Markets Authority approve its proposed $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard finally looks to be coming to an end, as the UK watchdog has turned around on its previous belief that the merger could harm UK players. This comes after weeks. This comes just weeks after it proposed Call of Duty could be removed for the deal entirely. It's been
Who writes this stuff? Stuff?
Aaron, come on. It's my fault. Apologies. So they talked about we're provisionally. So in a statement, the CMA chairman Martin Coleman stated, "We have now provisionally concluded the merger will not result in a substantial lessening of competition in console gaming services." The reason, he said, is because Microsoft making Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive franchise would be loss-making under any plausible scenario, and therefore very silly. I love that.
That last bit's me, by the way. Martin Coleman didn't say that.
I love that just extra little bit there. Essentially, Microsoft won't stop releasing Call of Duty on PlayStation because it would lose money doing so. That's really interesting, I think. It looks like it's going through. After all the debate we had on all the previous walkthroughs about, it's not going to go through, it's not going to happen. The CMA, they're asking for too much. It looks like it's finally going to happen, doesn't it? This latest statement looks pretty definitive. I mean, the ruling isn't for a few months officially, so, it's still up in the air as of right now officially, but it looks like it's going to happen, Aaron.
Yeah, I was shocked when I was writing up this story and I was looking into the CMA statement, because as the article says, it was only weeks ago that they were asking Microsoft to consider taking Call of Duty out of the deal, because they were worried that it would lessen competition between PlayStation and Xbox. And what they say isn't wrong. Basically what the CMA has said, to sum it up, is that even with Call of Duty, why would Microsoft suddenly make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive game when they're making so much money selling it on PC and PlayStation? And we know that Call of Duty sells best on PlayStation, at least within the console space. So there really is no incentive for them to make it an exclusive. To which I would say, you're not wrong, but look at the past precedent. Microsoft isn't doing this for the money. They're doing it almost for the cachet. They want to be considered a major player within the gaming world again. And lately, they've not been doing a good job at that because they can't get games out. Their last major franchise IP, Halo, had a middling reception with Halo Infinite. The campaign was okay. And the multiplayer actually was applauded at launch, but they just haven't got the resources somehow to keep that live service game afloat with regular updates and stuff like that. So what they want, rather than trying to build their own sort of live service shooter game, they're trying to get Call of Duty and make it theirs. And I think the very fact that they're having to offer 10-year minimum multi-platform deals to people like Nintendo, for some reason, these weird cloud gaming services that I've never even heard of. Can't even name you one right now, because it's literally they're fumbling around and you can have Call of Duty. Is there any screen that Call of Duty isn't on yet? And that's basically what they're doing. The Ouya, is the Ouya still a thing? And Nintendo as well. GeForce Now, there's one, which I know quite a lot of people use actually.
I think one of the cloud services had 100 followers on Twitter, from what I can make out.
Does that not still reek of desperation though? Of we need to get Call of Duty to somebody. So basically, yeah, they're definitely making this franchise exclusive after the 10-year period. But the good news is that PlayStation, it forces them into a position to try and develop a competitor, kind of like what we're just talking about with FIFA and the whole EA split thing.
Yeah, absolutely. This deal was never going to go through for almost 69 billion. I know I've rounded up. It feels weird rounding up 68.7 billion to 69 billion, because that's missing out $300 million, which is just, So 68.7. This was never going to go through if Call of Duty was off the table. Let's be honest. The
Yeah, it's
only
true.
reason, like you said, the only reason they were buying Activision Blizzard was for COD, because it's one of the biggest. It is probably one of the biggest gaming franchises ever, and one of the most lucrative as well. But yeah, it just feels weird that we're at this place. I thought there would be a little bit more to in and fro in, and there has been like some harsh words with PlayStation and Sony have come out quite hard with their kind of what they've talked about. They're gonna make it like this, or they're gonna release it in not a fit state. Some of the things they're talking about as well, which I never kind of bought. I think that was just for the jury, if you like, of the people who are actually set to approve this, but. Yeah, it does feel a bit weird that it could be happening. Lewis, what do you make of this whole situation? Do you think this? What did you think of upon hearing? I know you've not been into this too much because you're predominantly FIFA based, but when you heard of this 68.7 billion acquisition, what were your first thoughts on it?
The first thought was trying to really put into perspective how much 68.7 billion really is. Like, that is such a large amount of money. And I'm not as much into all these games as you are, but I know for a fact that Call of Duty is their most luxury asset, and there was no way that would go through without that. But I still can't get my head around that figure. It's such a big amount of money.
Imagine writing the check for 68.7 billion. Like, whose job is that to actually like cross the T's and dot the I's and everything?
You get cramp in your hand writing that out.
Yes. Oh, he's halfway through. Oh no, can't quite pull it off.
Yeah, do you remember the last check you wrote? You have to actually write it out in words, and then you have to write out the numbers as well, don't you?
Yeah,
it would take a long time. Do you know that box on the bottom right where you actually have to write? Surely the box isn't big enough.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to have to invent like a specific size check just to.
No, but do you know those competition checks that people hold up?
Yeah. The ones they give to charity. Yeah. Except Microsoft ain't no charity.
No, it's not. But yeah, I mean, the 68.7 billion.
The other thing with this story, Nathan, is obviously after hearing the CMA's new comments, the turnaround, Microsoft were like, "Oh yes, we knew they'd come to like the correct conclusion and stuff like that." But their excuse for why they wouldn't make Call of Duty exclusive was so annoying to me, because obviously they previously purchased Bethesda, but basically the example they used were like, oh, well, we let Deathloop and we let Ghostwire Tokyo release on PlayStation 5. So there's precedent that we could let this happen. I'm like, rewind the tape a little bit. Don't know what that noise was, by the way. But the only reason that those two games came to PlayStation 5 were because Bethesda had exclusivity agreements for a time period of a year before you purchased them. And then they said something in a statement like, oh, and we're letting them exist on PlayStation. We're not taking them away. I'm like, no, because that would be insane. Have you ever heard of that? Like a previously multi-platform title coming out to everything, and then somebody new buys them. Like, well, we're ripping them away from platforms where they're already continuing to make money. Not to mention the physical side of the games industry, where Microsoft is going to send people out to remove the game boxes off our PlayStation consoles, are they? So the fact that they're trying to make themselves out like a hero, and that like, no, we let this happen, we let PlayStation, we respect our statements, whatever. Because also feeding into this story is the feature I wrote last weekend, where a version of Redfall was in development for PlayStation 5. And then Microsoft bought Bethesda, and then they, behind the scenes canned it. And it was only because the game's director, Harvey Smith, let it slip in anticipation of the previews coming out that was happening. So they're very much in the business of taking games away from other people. And yeah, that might not happen with Call of Duty now, but in 10 years' time, I mean, then there's Minecraft, right? Minecraft is still being supported on other platforms. And I I'll get myself in a bind with it, basically, because I was giving with Redfall specifically, and I promise I will let other people talk. I was giving Microsoft.
I'm loving it.
I can already see Will's gonna like clip this out, and like Aaron goes ham on like Xbox deal, whatever. But like, it happened first with Hi-Fi Rush at the beginning of this year. I was like, finally, Xbox has got a game out. They purchased Bethesda. Then they worked with Bethesda to incubate a game that was first party, built from the ground up for Xbox. Then we find out that Hi-Fi Rush was already in development before Microsoft acquired them. And now we find out that Redfall was already in pre-production before Microsoft acquired them. I know game development takes a long time, but what I'm saying is that Microsoft is buying all of these companies But since buying all of these companies, we're not seeing the fruits of that labor. It's only stuff that's happened after that happened before, I beg your pardon, that we're already seeing of, with the rare exception of Pentiment, which was a small indie game developed by a Bethesda studio. I can't believe which one, which was like a 2D indie game where he came out and said, yeah, that game wouldn't exist were it not for Xbox Game Pass. So other than that small example, I'm struggling to think of the benefits of Microsoft buying any of these games. And what I would say to any of these companies, and what I would say to sum up one final point, what I would say to the CMA is, if Microsoft is so intent on making Call of Duty accessible to everyone, why is it purchasing it? Because surely the incentive now for Activision is to get it on as many platforms as possible, and that there's a reason why it hasn't come to Nintendo Switch and weird platforms like GeForce Now already. Rant over.
Can we edit like a mic drop into that?
We should do, yeah.
And
Will's
I'm spent.
listening. Yeah. The noise, I just want to clarify for everyone who's listening, the noise that Aaron made, he's now left, by the way.
I told
the
you,
noise that Aaron
moment.
made was the buzzer from Family Fortunes, just to clarify.
Oh yeah, it was, yeah. Our survey says. But do you dispute anything that I've said? Maybe I've thought about this more than most people. And obviously, I'm just so against consolidation, and like Microsoft and Phil Spencer, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth.
I completely agree. I think there's a lot of things being said about what will happen, but only the actions will show in the future about what they're actually going to do with it. And I think sometimes Microsoft talk a very good game, and their actions may not live up to what they say. So we'll have to wait and see. But we've got some nice feedback in the chat on Aaron's rant. Jasmine says Aaron sounds so passionate. Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you about Microsoft? GG also says preach. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's room for disagreement. Jasmine pipes up as well. And Jasmine, we're not even at Aaron's favourite subject, so hold on your horses, because we're about to.
There were chances. Well, actually, I did mention it with the Pentiment thing.
You did say the game, but you did say Game Pass.
Yeah.
But so seemingly, just let me know if there's any link to this. But in other news, out of nowhere, Microsoft has removed one of the best entry points to Xbox Game Pass on console and PC in lieu of new introductory promotions. So there's Microsoft's long-running $1 trial offer for Xbox Game Pass is now no longer available. Carrie Perez, head of global communications at Xbox, told The Verge, "We are evaluating different marketing promotions for new members in the future. In other words, don't expect this offer to return anytime soon." So Game Pass obviously $7.99 a month, $9.99 in dollars and $10.95 in Australian dollars, where players can stream and play literally hundreds of titles. But up until now, Xbox had allowed people to trial that service for 1 month for as little as $1. That is now stopping, according to Xbox and Microsoft. And there will be new introductory offers, which they haven't confirmed yet. Aaron, you wrote a piece. I think I'll put some of your piece verbatim on the doc there that I'm just reading off. But you talked about potentially this is the start of Microsoft's new strategy for Game Pass. I'm very, very conscious you've spoken for a long time about Microsoft, but would you mind talking about what you think Microsoft's new strategy is?
That's what I'm here for, I think.
What does this mean? What does this mean?
Well, it means that because basically up until now, people have been able. So this $1 trial offer, and I believe it was £1 in the UK as well. It would grant you access to Xbox Game Pass, not even Xbox Game Pass Standard, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which basically grants you access to the EA Play side of things as well. That entire portfolio and the PC version of Xbox Game Pass as well as the console one, and that would for £1 newcomers could get on board for a month and basically trial out the service instead of paying the $10.99 sterling in the UK, because obviously this is the ultimate version of Xbox Game Pass we're talking about, and now that's going away. And I feel like the fact that we didn't get any sort of like warning that this was happening is very telling, because it's almost like an out. Is this like like a known secret, or I'm not using that expression correctly, that there was an exploit for this where people could stack multiple months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate using this trial promotion. I'd never done it myself because I'd always assumed that you had to be a newcomer.
Of course
but
not. Of course not.
I've never, no, definitely not. I'm not going to implicate myself on a live YouTube stream, of course. I've already slandered Xbox enough on this podcast, but I am an Xbox Game Pass subscriber. So anyway, I'm a hypocrite apparently. So yeah, basically the fact that there was no warning, because literally I feel like I came into work on Monday and it was like doing the news rounds, whereas they'd already told The Verge that this offer was off. And I feel like for the longest time, Xbox Game Pass hasn't been about making money. It's been about building the subscriber base. And this £1 or $1 introductory offer was a good way of doing that, because what have you got to lose? Especially if Xbox is basically sort of saying, without saying, or you can even use this to stack your months of Xbox and potentially pay as little as £12 for a whole month's worth of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. That's obviously stopped now without warning. So I feel like Xbox is about to, and what I was getting at with that piece is Xbox is about to enter its new strategy where it's not going to be quite as kind to newcomers. It's not going to offer them that for that low price. And now I feel like it's kind of, they're even having to say to themselves, right, we've got the subscriber base. Now it's time to actually start making money, because there must be so many people out there not paying as much as what, I'll admit, Game Pass is worth. Like $10.99 a month, I'm happy to pay it. And that's the God honest truth, because it is worth that money right now. I believe that price is going to go up in future, potentially when Starfield releases, when they've got a good reason to kind of pull people in. Right now, there's not that many exclusives, so they haven't got a good justification to raise that price. But yeah, that's basically what I was getting at. The fact that this came without warning, I feel like it's telling that they feel like Xbox Game Pass needs to start making money.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? We've got a few more people in the chat. Amir, hello everyone, and he also says, no more Resident Evil stream, I guess. Sad face, Aaron. That Resident Evil stream has really captured the imagination of our audience.
Give the people what they want.
Stream part 2, I guess. We'll pencil that in as well. Adam says, well, I got it. Saw how bad the platform was and cancelled, only £1 wasted. That's interesting that you thought the platform was bad. Jasmine also says, when I stopped my Game Pass and then came back to it a year later, it let me do the £1 trial again. That's nice of them. She says you get a free month of Game Pass for new accounts with the Discord Nitro subscription, which costs less than the Game Pass itself. I can't imagine they make any money. Well, that's exactly what Aaron's saying as their old strategy. Lewis, I'll come to you because I know you've got an Xbox.
Yeah.
And obviously I know that you play FIFA predominantly, but for $7.99 a month, you get access to hundreds of games, including, I'm just going through the list now, you got Madden NFL 23, you've got the new Battlefield game, you've got Crusader Kings 3, you've got FIFA 22 is on there. My screen is just reloading. Aaron, believe, if you can help me out.
That's right. I believe that's Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, because that includes the EA Play bolt-on. So it's $10.99 a month, not $7.99. $10.99. Still a great price.
Yeah, absolutely. F1 22 is on there as well, which is a pretty good game. It's not recent, but it's on there.
All of the Halos, Jasmine just said
all
in
of
the
the
chat.
Halos, all of the Bethesda as well.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Have you ever been tempted to do Game Pass? Because I know when you get an Xbox, you get that offer, don't you? That we were talking about. How tempted were you to do that, and what did you make of it as well?
Do you know what? I think I have been more recently, just because talking to all of you all the time, I want to play more games and get more into it. I think if you're someone who definitely has the time for it, I feel like it's definitely worth it. I think I'm just so committed to playing FIFA all the time. When I do get a free moment, I'm playing that, and trying to keep up with the curve and build my team and without spending money on packs. But yeah, I think for the price it's offering and the amount of games available, I think you get your bang for your buck, don't you? It's really worth it.
Yeah, and as Aaron said, it might not be about the bang for the buck at the moment with Microsoft. They might be just trying to increase their base and everything, but it looks like that may be changed. Do you see a Game Pass price increase on the horizon potentially?
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, you're talking to me. I'm the only one here. You must be talking to me. No. Yeah. Like I said, I feel like Xbox has been very vocal about the amount. Like the value is all they've got they haven't got the games. They haven't even got the most powerful console if you want to get really into specifics compared to the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. Like there's like a little bit of power difference there. Or correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. So value's literally all they got to offer players. So until these exclusives come, and even then I'm calling them exclusives, Starfield wasn't once an exclusive. When it was initially announced, it was also announced for PlayStation, but obviously because it hadn't released yet, Xbox went in and nipped it in the bud, similar to Redfall. So I feel like Starfield is a game that people are excited about for some reason, mainly because it's like a big, giant open world game where they're literally promising you the galaxy. So I've been theorizing for quite a while that if there's a time to raise the price of Xbox Game Pass, that is the time to do it, because people will be like, oh, that sucks. Okay, so the standard price of Game Pass is $7.99 now, just for the console version. Well, if you were to bump that up to even $9.99, like £2 difference here in the UK, like $9.99 for a month's worth of play in Starfield, or are you going to pay full price, which is £60 to £70 for the privilege, when you can get 7 months of play for the exact same price via Xbox Game Pass, and you get access to so many other games as well? The price of Xbox Game Pass is literally ridiculous, always has been. And it's had that much of an effect that it's forcing Nintendo and PlayStation, it's pulling them into this ecosystem, which is actually, to quote the CMA, is a loss-making endeavor. So I think it's very dangerous in that way, but there's no doubt about it. And I feel like in a previous podcast, Nathan, we'd already made the Netflix and Spotify comparison, where for the longest time, these streaming services were riding the high of, we're growing and growing and growing. We're growing and growing and growing. Let's pay more money to invest in content because we're growing and growing and growing. And Xbox Game Pass up until now has been in that situation where it's growing and growing and growing. And it still will, I think, even though it's removed that introductory offer. But there is going to come a point where it hits a ceiling and it's unable to grow anymore. And they're going to have to start releasing games to sort of, make up for the losses that Game Pass is incurring right now, until they can work out and get a way for the balance sheets to even out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking into Sony claimed in November that Game Pass has 29 million subscribers, and that includes Xbox Game Pass Console and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So if they put the price up by £2, that's an extra 60 million quid in the back pocket every month.
But you know what, though? That would probably fund like half the development of a AAA game these days.
That's true.
Like, because you're looking at least 100 million. But that is only a month. So if if you roll that, they're making more than that, obviously, because they're charging $7.99. But then how many people are only paying £1 up until recently for that?
Yeah. How many?
But say that if the price. Sorry.
No, Lewis, carry on.
I was going to say, if the price went up and they said something like this goes towards us funding and creating more games, do you think more people would be inclined to pay that price increase? Speaking as a player, that I've said this multiple times, games are worth paying for. I personally would, and hence why I think that's why I'm expecting it. There are literally a few instances where you'll find me saying to a company, charge me more money, because if it means I get better games in the long run, then I think that's worth the investment. Yeah. Problem is right now is that I'm paying full price for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and the games aren't coming. And I don't think upping the problem is I don't think upping the price of Game Pass, how much money it costs to develop games is not the issue. It's a pipeline issue for Microsoft. They've got the teams, they've got the manpower. They just can't aim them in the same direction that Nintendo and PlayStation. They're not as efficient as PlayStation and Nintendo. And these consoles released in 2020, we're 3 years in. And I feel like you can count on one hand the amount of first-party games, true first-party games, not as a result of acquisition, that Xbox has released. And then it was funny during Black Friday, if you want to go way, way back, where people were like, the price of an Xbox Series S, oh my God, it's so cheap. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, but what are you playing on it? Like, you don't need to buy a Series S. You can play all these games on an Xbox One, right? So I know I'm going like all over the place in terms of this argument, but the point is that it all feeds into one another. It's an ecosystem, right? So, but to answer your question, Lewis, I personally be all right, but I feel like most gamers these days and people in general have been conditioned to not want to pay for things, whether that be music, movies, and ultimately Game Pass, games.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Call of Duty then potentially coming onto Game Pass in the future, no matter what Microsoft say about 10 years or how that will happen, how many more subscribers do you think they're targeting for Game Pass with Call of Duty? Do you think that's basically that's their overall goal, that people will buy an Xbox and then buy Game Pass to then get Call of Duty? That's what they're aiming. That's what they're aiming for. They're looking at all these people who are paying for Call of Duty on PlayStation. They're looking actually, if you buy an Xbox and you pay £10 a month, if you say the price is going to go up, let's assume it's £10 a month, you get Call of Duty for free every year. Is that the ultimate aim for Microsoft at the moment? Is that what you're seeing?
I think that's something. There might be something to that, just to say like how great would it look on marketing where buy an Xbox because you get to play Call of Duty for no additional cost. But then most Xboxes are sold at a loss, hardware is, and then companies traditionally make the profit on software. But then Xboxes cut that piece out of the equation because they're essentially they want your subscription instead of your $70 it's the complete opposite of FIFA, whereas FIFA gets your $70 plus money in game. Xbox have cut out the $70 part and they just want your money in game. But even then, like Warzone is free to play anyway. So I'd be interested to see like how many people are still playing PvP Call of Duty multiplayer when compared to Warzone 2. And maybe their strategy is, they're not saying this is their strategy, so I'd be surprised if it was their strategy. But maybe their strategy is we want more people playing PvP Call of Duty because then they'll pay for stuff in game similar to they do Warzone. So they want to lower the barrier to entry whilst picking up people's £10 subscription on the side. So I think, but honestly, like speaking from my heart, I think they just want to say the biggest game in the world you can play for ostensibly free on Xbox, and that in terms of like making them a real marketing player within the games industry again is it. But if I was Xbox, I'd say you must be looking at God of War Ragnarok. You must be looking at The Last of Us. Develop a game like that's high budget, high quality, that people care about, with characters that people can invest in, because ultimately that's what keeps people coming back. Like the reason that PlayStation will never put their first party exclusives on PlayStation Plus day one is because people are willing to pay for them because they're guaranteed a AAA polished experience. Whereas nothing like that exists on Xbox right now. I'm sorry guys, it just doesn't. Other than Forza Horizon, which is an amazing game, super high quality game, and Playground Games, the people that make that game, are also making the new Fable. I'm really excited about that. But honestly, right now, I could name you 10 PlayStation games that have got emotional characters that are worth investing in. And what has Xbox got? A spaceman with a helmet. And he's called Master Chief, and he's been the exact same character for over 10 years. It never used to be that way. You know, Xbox used to dominate in the first-person console space. But anyway, I'll shut up now because this is turning into the Aaron show. But it's just, there's so much to say on this topic. Like...
Yeah, there is. Adam's in the chat. Increase the price after releasing good games, not before. You aren't short of cash, Microsoft. They might be a bit short of cash after the 68.7 billion, but I get your point. They're not short of cash. Adam also says Aaron will be running for Prime Minister soon with banging speeches like this.
Adam, I won't be running for Prime Minister soon because everything I've told you is the truth. All right, that's all I'll say.
Good answer. Jason also says, yeah, Aaron is really cool, though.
Compared to the Prime Minister, is that? I don't know.
I don't know what context that is, Jason, if you can fill us in on how exactly... I need
to pay Jason. Jason, send me your invoice and I'll pay you the fee.
Yeah, I was going to say you need to pay the rest of the invoice to finish that chat. Jasmine said I would watch the Aaron show all day, every day, like the Truman Show sort of thing.
That'd be a very boring show. Yeah,
put that on Game Pass. How many? Just back on this topic as well. Sorry, Jasmine as well has called out Lewis. Lewis, when are we gonna play Fortnite together?
I know
that should happen on stream.
No,
make it happen on stream.
That was a politician answer, Lewis. She says, when are we going to play Fortnite? You need to give her a time of the day.
My answer was sort of on topic, so that's not a politician answer, is it?
So you said we need to sort it out. Is that the answer?
Yeah, that's the answer.
There you go, Jasmine. It's locked in. We just need to sort it. I know that me and Jasmine are going to do a Fortnite stream at one point because we did a Warzone 2 stream, which is a game that I play, and she played that for the first time. I've played Fortnite before, I'm quite familiar with it, but I haven't played it in a while, so I want to check out the new Unreal Engine 5 graphics and things, and have a play around with the editor potentially as well. So we'll be doing a stream on that in the future for anyone who's interested in that as well. And we've got a stream on Friday, which is really exciting as well, where our resident Last of Us TV show enthusiast Matt, who has his opinions on fridges and logistics, will be streaming The Last of Us Part 1 on PC on Friday. He's never played the game before. He's only watched the TV show, so please make sure you tune in to watch that, because that will be very entertaining, I can promise you. Jason's back in the chat. He really knows appreciate others. Hard to find people like this nowadays. Keep up the good work. That's really nice, Jason. Thank you for that. And Aaron's nodding his head as well. Yeah, thanks, Jason. We really appreciate that. How many games could Microsoft have developed on their own with 68.7 billion?
Whoa. Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
At least two.
At least two.
At least two. That's a safe
What
answer.
was Forspoken's budget, apparently?
Oh, was it 250 million, I think? That figure's coming to mind.
Over $100 million to make.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So they could have made 687 of Forspoken's.
But then let's not think that's Microsoft money, isn't it? That's not Xbox money.
True.
So,
Microsoft also have the Windows division and the Enterprise division, and they sell software by the bucket load and all that kind of stuff.
But it does say that Microsoft, like Xbox, would have had to clear this with Microsoft clearly, and they must have made a very convincing. They must have made a very convincing argument, because so that tells me that Microsoft thinks that gaming sort of is the future, like compared to other like forms of technology, and especially VR, which Microsoft doesn't seem to have any interest in these days. But yeah, like that's the thing. Like, why spend that money acquiring? Okay, yeah, it's one of the biggest games in the world. When for a fraction of that price, even just a tenth of it, you could probably crack out something as amazing as God of War.
I would have loved to have been just listening to that phone call where Phil Spencer calls up Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, who I just had to Google. And say,
so knowledgeable,
So, hi mate. I'm thinking of buying Activision Blizzard. Is that okay? Oh yeah, nice one. Yeah, how much? Yeah, it's 68.7 billion. Yeah, is that all right? Yeah, we'll sign it off.
But let's recreate that call now, Nathan. $1 billion with a B. What?
What you?
Why don't you make some games?
Shall I be Phil and you be Satya? Do you want to do it that way?
I've never met Satya, but Satya, I'm going to do you a prank. Come on, hit me up.
Hi Satya, how you doing, mate?
Hiya, Nathan. You all right?
Phil, I mean. Phone. No, I'll do phone. You call me Nathan. Okay, let's not. Let's not do this.
What has this stream descended into?
I know, but I just love that.
Do you know what the funny thing is though? Is apparently, and I guess this is right, is that the 68.7 billion was actually like, I think Microsoft consider it a bit of a steal, because Activision was surrounded by so much controversy. Remember, with the Bobby Kotick stuff, that their share prices had dipped. So that's when Activision swooped in and we'll take all this off your hands. We'll give you a golden parachute, Bobby Kotick. So I dread to think of what their market price was before all that stuff sort of went down. Yeah,
I think it's absolutely everything they have to offer. I mean, there's a decimal point, I guess, isn't it? Why couldn't it be a nice round whole number? Why have they got a round? Why has it got?
Yeah, the 0.7. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I saw a couple of
million.
A couple of.
That's the
outlets.
VAT, Lewis. That's the VAT. That's what that is.
And a couple of outlets actually rounded it up, and I mean, I know we had this conversation internally where we were like, we can't round it up because we've been missing 300 million if we rounded it up, which is a big amount.
That's two Forspokens right there.
Even three, if you
three
potentially in there. Yeah. But I think the thing as well that I really loved about when they announced it is that they made a point, Microsoft, about saying that they were buying it for 68.7 billion cash. Did you notice that in the original? They didn't say anything about we're having to lend this money. We'll have to
money in the bank.
We're on a payment plan. We're using Klarna. Other things are available, but we're using the.
We're going to PayPal it to you. Yeah,
they're paying it cash. With just the biggest flex, the biggest gaming tech flex that has ever been. Surely,
I'm always disappointed when I hear that phrase these days, though, because obviously I know what it means. It means you've got the cash. But
In the
like
bank,
it does
yeah.
put in mind like Phil Spencer with a massive briefcase. Like you've not seen a briefcase this big.
No.
Multiple. He stacked them up. One
It's a
for every
suitcase, isn't it?
10 billion. Yeah, yeah, multiple. He's had to back up a lorry full of suitcases up to
Yeah.
Activision's door.
And the thing is, as well, is not only have their share price dropped recently, Activision Blizzard, but no one's playing Warzone 2,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
could be a
no.
problem. No one's
guess
playing
that's
Call of Duty at the moment.
I guess that's what the CMA are kind of arguing. It's like, well, if no
Yeah.
one's playing Warzone, then the only money source for Call of Duty is to keep selling copies of it on PlayStation 5.
Of Call of Duty, yeah. And obviously we'll have a Call of Duty 2023 as well, is what's been claimed, the latest leaks. We haven't got confirmation of that as well yet. But I'm sure that will be the case. Adam is back in the chat as well. He says, I'm 8 episodes into The Last of Us, and having Matt's tape and fridge takes in my mind has increased my viewing experience. He will love that. If Matt's still in the live show, I don't think he is, but if he still is, I'm sure he'd be absolutely delighted with that. And if you haven't seen those takes, please go on to our Mirror Gaming TikTok channel. It's go into TikTok, search the Mirror Gaming, and you'll see us. We're a verified account on there. Check out Matt's takes on The Last of Us. They're very, very funny.
We're a verified account in there, but Matt's opinions on The Last of Us aren't verified. Not
They're
by
not
me.
verified by
Yeah.
anyone. Absolutely. Jasmine also says, I'll happily do 2 Fortnite streams, one with Nathan, one with Lewis. I'm unhealthily obsessed with that game. There you go. Locked in, Lewis. Locked in. Yeah. She also says, what is this skit? Ha ha ha. So yeah, that was before I don't know why we started doing that, Aaron. I think we just lost it for a minute there.
Well, you were saying like, just imagine that chat, and then I messed it up immediately by calling you Nathan instead of Phil,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Lionel Messi. I should have said, but yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, but I think that about wraps it up for this week, gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the walkthrough, as always. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us once again. Your Microsoft chat is always very, very entertaining. We really appreciate all the passion. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, and apologies. It got a bit crazy there for a couple of times.
A bit unhinged.
Yeah, hopefully that was it made sense and cohesive, and people understood where I was getting at with it.
I think it did. Yeah, it did. And Lewis, thank you so much for joining us as well, talking all things FIFA and get involved in all the other topics as well. We really appreciate it. Lewis's EPL video and the Pieface interview will be on YouTube at some point, so keep an eye out for that as well. Aaron, sorry, did I interrupt what you were going to say? Were you going to say something just before we went?
I was just going to say, like, thanks to Lewis, because before I went off on a chat, like the whole FIFA conversation, mostly what goes over my head, doesn't it? So, like, Lewis is FIFA answer to Aaron for Microsoft, apparently, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it feels like
you say that, but I think half the things that we speak about, Nathan explains to me in FIFA terms, just to make me understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try and get those kind of football phrases in just to explain. It's like Microsoft buying Activision is like Man City buying Chelsea or something, essentially. Or something along those lines.
That makes so much more sense now.
There you go.
You put it in my
I'm trying
language,
What Man City want to do is they want to get Kai Havertz, and they want to make him available to their team at all times. That's a similar sort of thing that what they're doing again.
What's the football equivalent to Xbox Game Pass? Is that Gary Lineker? It's like, no, you can have Gary Lineker on your, I don't know.
What, a $7.99 subscription? Nothing in football is that cheap. Supporters are taking advantage of every weekend with
a Bristol Rovers season ticket might be that cheap, actually. I need to look into it, but I don't know. We'll see.
But I mean, every weekend you have to pay for Sky, Amazon, BT to watch all the games. So it's football's a different beast.
That's why pubs are doing so well, I guess.
Yes, but that's a different podcast probably. I think we'll leave it there for today. We'll carry on the football chat off camera. But thank you both for joining me. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's joined in the stream today. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell notification as well. So when we're next live, it'll pop up on your phone. You can just click it and you can just watch us live. It's so easy. It'll be either me, Aaron, Lewis, or one of the content creators. It'll be doing something live. So make sure to tune in. We've got some some good content for you coming up. But that's it for this week's walkthrough. We'll see you next week at 4 p.m, same time, same juicy gossip and hot takes. But for this week, bye bye. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.